Hey, this is Brandon Smiley of ThirstGym.com. We're going to start a new thing talking about programming, and we're going to look at the insight of some of the programs that I write for athletes. So this is an educational tool if you're looking to improve your programming, see some real-world examples and how we at Thirst develop athletes from a wide scenarios of different sports, how they move, and individuals. This is going to be a great resource for you. And really, I'm just going to try to use this to also show the involvement of my own programming and kind of what we're doing here. So I don't think we have everything figured out by any means. And I also think it's important that we understand where we're coming from for each individual athlete that we are working with. So to give you a brief understanding for episode 1 here of Programming Breakdown, that's what we're going to call this series, Programming Breakdown. This is episode 1, football lineman. This kid also plays basketball, and he also does shot put for track. And as you see, this is the current training session or program that I wrote for him. This is his 8th training block with us. So to give you a brief breakdown, I'm probably going to do this every single episode. We work with a variety of athletes, and we do everything in 4-week training blocks. The reason we do that is our billing goes on a monthly basis. So it makes it very easy from a billing and programming standpoint to make sure everything is on pace, and it builds in a few wiggle room days for each athlete so they can kind of accrue some times in case if they have to miss days off, but our billing can also handle that as well. But to give you some brief background, Atticus here, he is primarily a football player, probably going to go to college for football more than anything else, but he's a 3-sport athlete, so he's really busy. He also travels approximately 40 minutes to come to Thirst, so we've got a lot of time crunch to work with in terms of what he's able to even fit in with us in general. So he is a one-day-a-kid athlete for us. Football literally just ended for this athlete, so unfortunately their postseason didn't go as well as we had wanted, but that being said, we're going to be starting an off-season training block, and this is going to basically determine our warm-ups and our correctives, and we've been doing these warm-ups and correctives pretty much the whole time. Atticus came to us and was not the greatest mover. Great athlete, good kid, hard worker, just really not good at moving. So our training program here is designed to improve movement qualities, ideally specifically for the sport of football, and then we throw in some auxiliary stuff based upon the other sports that we have. So when we actually got Atticus, he was actually in shot put season, so obviously we focus towards that, but our primary emphasis is football. So our programming sheets are very, very simple, and they're laid out very easily. In terms of our order, we have A's, B's, C's, and D's for this particular athlete. So this is a triset, superset, triset, and each week you can see how we progress. So we're going to talk about some of these exercises and what we got. So knowing that Atticus is a poor mover, we're coming off of a long football high school season. It's very physical. The first thing we're going to work on with our power area, so usually our A is more denoted towards speed, power, and explosiveness for the majority of our athletes. We're going to start with a split squat snap down with plate punch. I would highly suggest you look at Mike Robertson's stuff for this. I have yet to make a YouTube video on my own channel of this exercise, but this is fantastic for learning to yield and shifting the center of gravity back on the athlete. So we're not going to do any cleaning or anything like that. This kid has been beat up for basically probably the better part of close to 4 months at this point when you start factoring in all the summer work that gets involved and then actually playing and practices. We're going to go with more of a restorative block here, so no cleans or anything like that. No, it's not sexy, but again, we're trying to give the athlete what they need, and so, you know, you can see how we progress. Pretty simple, 3x5, 3x6, 4x5, 4x6. It's a very, very common loading scheme for us. Next thing is going to be a rapid standing band press with shuffle for 5 yards. Basically, the athlete is going to laterally shuffle with a band around their body, and their hands are in the band, kind of like how you would do a push-up against the band, and he's going to rapidly press as fast as he can and shuffle for 5 yards, and he's going to do that down and back on each side 2 times, and then just progress slowly over the month. And then we've got med ball slams for just general overall upper body power. So you can tell this is very non-specific. The only thing that's really specific is this, and that's just because Atticus does not move well side to side. This is where his biggest improvement is shifting his center of gravity back because he's very far forward, and at the same time getting him moving sideways. So this was the big thing whenever he came to us as well. in terms of needs analysis with just lateral movement. So we try to keep lateral movement in there as much as possible for Atticus. The next two things we have here, again, this would usually be our strength area, but because, again, we're coming off that long season, we're not going to do any direct barbell work for this month. We're just going to do a double kettlebell front rack, front foot elevated split squat. Again, going back to the split squat snap down with plate punch, we're trying to shift center of gravity back. So again, that's why I made this exercise selection, is that we have the anterior load. We're going to shift our center of gravity back, and the front foot elevated split squat's also going to help us push back. So it's going to help restore some range of motion. We're still going to get some good quality leg hypertrophy out of these rep ranges, 8, 10, 8, 6. So you see at the end of the month, we kind of let the weights creep up a little bit. Nothing too crazy. This is definitely a sucky exercise. Anybody that's done it. And then we like to pair a lot of our strength stuff usually with the mobilization to benefit our downtime while we rest between our big strength steps. So we've got a couch stretch mobilization with IR, ER. As I do this series, you will see there's a lot of common things that we stick with a lot of these. This is one. So hip flexion mobility, because he's so far forward, is not very good. And then we're going to have him turn to his right and turn to his left on each side 3 times to really work on that mobilization. But the other reason I like the IR-ER part of it is we get him rotating, and again, he's not a good rotator. So we kind of get a lot of movement quality out of this block as well. The C block, okay, so now we're kind of moving down to our accessory / supplemental, depending on how you want to classify that. We've got a blast strap assisted Kozak squat. So again, we've already talked about how he's not a great side-to-side mover. We're going to kind of keep that theme going here from a lower body perspective. And we're going to use the blast strap to assist him so that he can get into that range of motion. And the nice thing that I like about with the blast strap that a lot of people don't think about is when you're reaching forward and you've got somebody that's really far forward in an anterior presentation like this, by having the blast straps, they're reaching forward, and that allows them to shift their center of gravity back as well. So if you're getting the theme here, it's kind of shift back, move sideways, rotate. Again, very, very simple stuff for what this kid needs, and it just takes a little bit of thought here. So we're going to do those, and by the end of the month, we're going to try to have a little bit less reps, and we're going to see if we can get less assistance on this exercise. So that's what we're mainly going to coach here. But as you can see, more reps for just getting the movement pattern down. And at the same time, we're going to do a glute bridge alternating kettlebell floor press. This exercise is never any fun. The glute bridge portion of it really just getting him inverted more than anything else. People with wide ISAs, like football players like this, can really benefit from that in terms of restoring range of motion, but also when you're pressing in a good range of motion that the athlete has. You're basically, if you think about it, you're basically pressing down, you're in a decline position. Most people can get their hands to at least 75 degrees of flexion, or their arms, I'm sorry. Getting past 90 is sometimes where people have issues, so this is a really good, safe alternative. Consider we played football a year and pushed straight ahead. We can give the shoulders a little bit of a break, but the alternating piece is also really great, again, because he is not the greatest mover, so anytime we can alternate, that's also a benefit. So again, you can see reps are higher because, again, this is movement quality work more than anything else. We're obviously getting some hypertrophy from it, but not our number one priority at this point in time of the year. And then here we've got single leg kettlebell RDL switches, alternating bent over kettlebell row, thoracic rotation, and half kneeling band chop. So this is a tricep. All of our little accessory work, none of this stuff super sexy. This is basically, you're going to do a single leg RDL, and you're going to switch the kettlebell back and forth between your hands while you maintain the stability and you're trying to keep everything good neutral. I will be honest with you, he is not the greatest hinger that we have in our facility. He's not bad, but it definitely needs some work. So I'm hoping this gives us some proprioception, but at the same time, we're also going to strengthen that hip up. We're going to not overly tax the hamstrings by any means, but obviously we're going to get a little bit. But really, we're just going to try to work on some hip stability there, and keep the reps good and high. And then the alternating bent over kettlebell row with thoracic rotation. Again, we've kind of really hit home on this theme. Alternating and rotating are not his things, so this does a great job in terms of giving him that rotation, but at the same time giving him some upper back work and some hypertrophy there. So I really have grown to like this exercise. People that do not rotate well and I want to get rowing in, this is kind of like my default bang for your buck. And then the last one is the half kneeling band chop. The fantastic thing about doing the chop version Usually big guys like this do a really bad job of getting into their hips, so to speak. So chopping brings them internal, brings them towards their body, and that can be fantastic. We're opening up the hips, but at the same time, we're also going to get some abdominal work as well. So as you can see, this is a awesome way to get that good quality high reps, and then obviously we're going to be working quite a bit down here in the bottom. And then our cool down is very basic. This has pretty much been the same since day one for him. We're going to redo our foam rolling protocol, and then we have a PRI breathing exercise that is in each kid's binder. That's not part of this sheet. The reason we don't do that is the breathing might change depending upon what the athlete has going on, just like with any other program. But basically, we want to, after we do that, we basically want to decompress, get the nervous system to kind of tone down a little bit and let them get out of the facility. So our goal, this is definitely a lot of work. All right, I'm not going to tell you that it's not a lot of work, but we have this kid 1 day a week. So we have to be able to give him everything we possibly can. That's why we kind of got a full plate. And we know that he just came off football, he's going to be done. He's probably honestly not going to be lifting a whole lot. He might be a little bit, especially as he goes into basketball season. That's not far away. But what our minds and what we're thinking here is we want to try to restore everything side to side, rotationally, push everything back, and really just give this kid a bit of a break in terms of the amount of torture that his body's taken this year being a lineman. He did play both ways, so he does play offense and defense. He plays at a very small school. So knowing that, we know that he does get abused, and that's where this training program came from. So that is all I have for episode 1. I hope you like this kind of YouTube video and content. I hope this gives you an idea of how we program, and I will again say that it does not mean that we have everything figured out. Far from it. And you will hopefully see how different programs have some different qualities. We'll look at this is obviously probably a pretty advanced program. I think this is definitely not something you're going to see just plastered on the internet. But we do have to remember we do have a junior. So to give you an idea, yes, he is a junior, an older kid, and obviously a 3-sport athlete and has a lot going on. So I thought this would be a good one to start with because there's a lot of unique variables that we have to work with. And since he just finished season and we just wrote this training program for him, so this will be his week coming up for us. Depends on when this video gets up, but at least for whenever I wrote it, the plan was this will be our week 1. You can see that we've got a lot of good quality work here for this kid. And like I said, we're going to have a variety of athletes, so we'll see some simpler stuff. We might even see some more advanced stuff because we do have some professional-based athletes that do come in here as well, and we'll kind of talk about some of those as well and kind of what our thought process is. So again, this is hopefully a great piece and educational tool for you. If you happen to have any questions about our programming decisions or what these questions are, what these exercises are, my first suggestion is just to look on our own YouTube channel. I probably have majority of these on our channel, but if you cannot find them, let me know and I will send you a video of somebody who has made a good exercise of this exercise demonstration. And then my goal obviously is to get these on ours as well. It just takes a lot of time to film these videos and put the amount of work in I do to our exercise index videos, but again, I will get there eventually. So again, that's episode 1. If you happen to like it, please feel like, subscribe, share, share with friends, coaches. Again, I really just trying to put out some more educational content and mix things up a little bit differently. If you got any questions, leave them in the comment section. Thanks, and have a great day.